What is up, fishing world? Trevor Wagner coming back at you again. In today's episode, we're going to be talking the Wacky Rig. That's right, we're going to be talking about the Wacky Rig. Now, I'm not going to break down all the different wacky worms that are out there, all the different stick baits, all the different brands, which ones put more salt in it, which ones put less salt in it, which ones are neutrally buoyant in the water. I'm not going to talk about all that. That would be for another day. I'm not even going to really get into rod and reel. Those are pretty basic elements of the Wacky Rig. Now, today I want to focus on how do you rig a Wacky Rig worm? So how do you take this stick worm and rig it up? Now, there's a few different ways that a lot of people use when they're rigging up their Wacky worm. Now, you could do the plain basic. You know, you just have your hook, find where you want to put it in your bait, kind of make sure you go right through the middle, nice little in there, and then you have your wacky worm set up. And you can move it up and down. That is the basic way to do a wacky worm, and that's what a lot of people have done. I've done it in the past, especially if I didn't have some of these other things with me, and it works. The only problem is when you're using a hook in the wacky worm, your worm doesn't last very long. And we know we can go through these things pretty fast. So I want to try to get as many bites and as many fish in the boat as I can with each plastic that I use. So there's other options that you can use. So one is this tool right here with these O-rings on it. And you put an O-ring onto your wacky worm. And that is one way that you can kind of help prolong the length of your worm. So to use the tool, it's pretty easy. You just have it on there and you just move one of these O-rings down where it goes. And then you just find where you want to put it on your worm, hold it in place, and drop it right on. And if it doesn't go exactly where you want it, you just kind of move the O-ring around till you find the spot where you want your O-ring. Then you take your hook, and then a couple different things that you could do. One of the ones I've seen a lot of people do, and I've done it in the past too, is you just slide your hook through the O-ring on the top, and then you can actually fish it just like this. Now, there's pros and cons to do that. Some people say when the fish comes up, and because it turns sideways, they don't get a good hookup. I get hooked up, so it works if that's what you want to do. But if you're one that wants to do something a little different, it's easy to move it and do something different. So that is basically the single O-ring. Now, I learned a long time ago that sometimes a single O-ring is good, but if you make a double O-ring, so you put two of the O-rings on there and you cross them, I know it might be kind of hard to see, but if you see that cross section on there, if you cross your O-rings, that will allow you to take your hook, put it in between, did I get it? Put it between your two O-rings. You know, if you've never done stuff on camera, just know that sometimes when you're trying to show people to do something on a camera, it doesn't always go as speedily as it should. There. Then you could put it in the cross beam of your O-ring, and then now it's kind of more like that traditional stick bait, sticking it through there as it's going down. Now I probably would have moved my O-ring down a little bit, give a little bit different action as you go, but you see the gist of the double crossed O-ring. And it works, and it keeps the hook point a little bit more traditional of what you see for a Wacky Rig. Now there's another O-ring that came out that I fell in love with. And I really like this O-ring because I didn't have to use two O-rings to make the cross section and running my hook through it. And that was this little O-rings right here that come with a hook point on it. And so with that, what that allows you to do on your O-ring, you can kind of see it right there, is now I just take my hook point, put it through the hole that is already made, and now I have this. And this, actually for me, the worm has a little bit more freedom of movement going down through the water. Just seems to work a little bit better. So if I'm going to use an O-ring for my Wacky Rigs, give me my hook back. That is the method that I use. Now, there is another method that works as well, and this one is something you kind of pick up from, I learned about this from watching Hellabass, Rich over at Hellabass, and it's from Arsenal Fishing. And basically what it is these tubes. Now, you can buy the tubes from Arsenal. Some people go out and get medical tubing, cut them down themselves. And then you get these little forceps that actually help you put the tube on the worm. So you just slide it on, open it up, and then you slide your worm in there. Take it to where you want yours to be. It's there, kind of pinch it down, move your tubing off, open them back up, and then now you have this rubber tubing on your Wacky Rig. And then you just take your hook point, and instead of going straight through the worm, you're taking it through this tubing as well. So when it goes through the tubing, now you have that natural presentation of the Wacky Rig, and you're preserving the integrity of the worm by that tubing. So as it gets hit and bit, it's going to last you a little bit longer using that tubing. Now, Arsenal Fishing has come out, I haven't got any yet, but they've taken these tubes and you can actually get them in a chartreuse color now. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a target point for the fish as they're coming in. So I haven't tried that yet. Probably going to give it a nice little whirl. But those are the ways that I've rigged a wacky worm. And my favorite by far, not sponsored by Arsenal Fishing, but I really do love these Arsenal Fishing forceps and the tubing. It seems to just work. I like it. The worms last a little bit longer even when I'm putting the Yamamoto Senkos on there. They tend to last a little bit longer, so I'm not wasting those because, again, those are a little bit more on the pricey side, and you don't want to be running out of those really fast. You want those to last as long as absolutely possible. So my favorite is that Arsenal Fishing one. What's your favorite? What way do you rig your wacky worm? I'd like to hear from you down below. So if you like the video, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you can, and tell me, what is your favorite way to rig the wacky worm? How do you shake that worm? All right, guys, thank you guys for watching. If you can, get out and fish and catch some bass. Talk to you next time.